Ladies and gentlemen, a very good afternoon to you all. Thank you very much for listening in to here on Beyond Radio 103.5 FM. My guest at this time started playing the piano at a humble 4 years old. I'm sure I was still watching Thundercats at that time. He began his career on stage as a comedy magician, then started to include his talents on tinkling on the ivories. Now, having done tours across Europe and performed around the world, the country has just seen him as the recipient of Ant and Dec's Golden Buzzer on last Saturday's Britain's Got Talent. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Jon Courtenay.
Well, what an introduction. Thanks, Jason. Hi.
Yeah, I do try. I
felt like I should have walked on stage then or something.
Well, you know me, I've been an MC for a few years. These things happen. You like to do good build-ups for people, particularly those who deserve it. Absolutely.
Oh, bless you. Thank you.
Not a problem. So, yes, sir, I would say we have been known in previous circles on my cruise ship tenure, and it was. Yeah. I just want to say first and foremost, how dare you? How dare you make me cry for the second Saturday in a row watching Britain's Got Talent?
I know, they really wring it out of you, don't they?
But it was, I mean, I'm sure like everybody else, as you know, we could say Beyond Radio, broadcasting across Lancaster, Morecambe area, North Lancaster and South Cumbria, I'm sure we're all in the same boat as I were. No pun intended with the cruise ship jokes, no. But I mean, first and foremost, of course, you're a consummate performer. You've been working on stage for absolute years now. What has made you decide to finally go and do Britain's Got Talent then?
It was a friend of mine, to be honest. We've known each other a long time, and he hadn't seen my show for a long time. And he had some experience with the Britain's Got Talent and America's Got Talent. Mm-hmm. And he saw my show, and after I had a lovely audience on the night that he saw it. Sort of everything just went right, which happens sometimes, and you're so grateful for it. And after the show, he said, "I have to ask, why the heck haven't you done Britain's Got Talent?" He said, "The exposure, even if you don't, go any further than the auditions, you're seen by millions of people, and you might get a couple of nice shows out of it, like some corporate work or something." And I said, "Well, the reason I've never really done it is because I don't know what to do. I mean, my stage show, which you've seen, I couldn't think what I could take out of that stage show that would stand alone for 3 minutes or 2.5 minutes, because my show tends to flow because of one thing leading into another, and there's a reason for me doing everything, and there's a story behind everything." And I just didn't feel comfortable taking 2 or 3 minutes out of the show and trying to make it stand alone. And I was saying this to my friend, and he said, "Well, why don't you just write a song about doing Britain's Got Talent and why you're doing it and why you want to do it?" And I said, "Oh yeah, that's great. If I can do it, if I can write the song." And I don't know what happened, but I went back to my desk that night, and I wrote the song. In about, I think the basis of the song came out in about 20 minutes. It was all inside me and everything that I wanted to express.
Good.
And I wrote it, and sometimes when you write something and it sort of feels right, you know it, you know that it's sort of that you've written something decent. And I played it to my friend the next day, and he went, "Oh my God, you've nailed it! That's everything in there. It's got some comedy, it's got some pathos, it's got sincerity, it's got your family." And it really was sort of as simple as that. I mean, I wrote it, and it obviously got tweaked over the next few months before I got to perform it. But that's basically why I did it, because of this one friend saying, "Just write a song."
Just do it. It's fine. He knows you too well. That's the problem. I was going to say that must be it. Because I know, I mean, I've seen you perform previously. Yes, you do write sort of. Well, I was going to say silly ditties, but it's not silly ditties. I was going to say some humorous songs, some parodies of other songs as well. And I think that is being definitely a great song just to encapsulate who you are as a performer, as well as getting yourself, getting the public to know who you are as well. Definitely.
Yeah, I also had no idea that they were going to edit it that emotionally. I mean, my kids are in it as much as I was, which was great. I mean, I absolutely loved that, but. In my mind, my stage show is more of a comedy show than a musical show. But obviously that song did have a lot of emotion in it. And when they came to editing it, obviously my kids' reactions, which I hadn't seen until the broadcast, obviously I had no idea that they were sitting there that involved in it. So it was quite emotional for me to watch it back when it was broadcast as well.
Oh, I bet.
And that's obviously what the producers saw. They said this guy's kids are so engaged. We're going to use we're going to use that. So that was how they edited it, which was great. It was, if nothing else, I've got a lovely keepsake of my family in high definition now, which is great.
Absolutely. No, it was brilliant. Now, I mean, I'm going to ask, it's going to be how you can put it into words, I have no idea, but is there any way you can describe the feeling, not only getting some lovely praise, of course, from the judges on the Britain's Got Talent panel, but then Ant and Dec walking along the stage down to their table and then slamming that golden buzzer button? I mean, could you put into words how you were feeling at the time?
Well, I think the word overwhelmed is sort of sums it up. But I mean, I've been asked sort of, you get asked how it feels and how the whole thing feels, and I've trying to analyze it afterwards, because I've got to be honest. At the time, I as soon as it had finished, you walk into the wings, Ant and Dec are hugging you still. I've got my family with me, and then you still get a couple of microphones pinned on you. There's still a couple of interviews to do. You're doing stuff for the Britain's Got Talent YouTube channel and Twitter and stuff, and that's all happening as soon as you walk off stage. So, but we got back to our hotel room at about 1:00 in the morning, and I honestly had very little recollection of what had actually happened, of what people had said to me. And my wife was telling me stuff that the judges had said. She was quite emotional, saying, "Oh my God, they said such lovely things about you." And I honestly couldn't remember. I know that sounds ridiculous, but there's so much going on. And the best way I've tried to explain it is it was increasing levels of overwhelmingness, if that's a word. I don't know. Because the whole thing about the Palladium for me has been such a big deal. That's been, I think any variety performer wants to walk on that stage. It's the holy grail of variety shows. Charlie Chaplin performed on that stage. Mm-hmm. Laurel and Hardy appeared on that stage. So as a variety act, I've never had the break in my career to have the opportunity to perform at the Palladium. It's such a big deal. So in my mind, when they said you can audition in Manchester or the Palladium, even though I live in Manchester, I said, I'm sorry, it has to be the Palladium, because even if it doesn't go any further, at least I've got to walk out on that stage, that amazing stage. So just walking out on the stage, even if it had been an empty theatre, if I'd have had the chance to walk on that stage, that would have given me a real buzz. But the fact I walked out in front of four of the most recognisable faces on British television, and this full house, so that was like the first level of being overwhelmed. I mean, if you saw my face when I first walked out, and I think I'm going wow, because I'm looking up at the top of the auditorium, and it's huge and it's full, and then I look down and I see the judges. So that was the first level. And then because I was doing an original song that I hadn't performed in my show before, I didn't really know how it was going to be received. I'd played it from family and friends and stuff and said, "What do you think?" And they'd all said, "Oh yeah, it's great." But you never really know how it's going to go with an audience of strangers until you do it.
Oh gosh, no.
So as soon as I started doing the song, the first joke I think was Simon's teeth are blinding me. That was like the first funny line. And the whole theatre just roared with laughter. So that hit me like a bus as well. And I thought, this is incredible. This audience are completely on my side. So that was like another level of being a bit overwhelmed. And then at the end, everybody leapt to their feet, which, as you know, being on stage yourself in the past, that is the biggest accolade you can get. So I've got a standing ovation at the Palladium from the judges and the audience. So now I'm getting a little bit dizzy with being overwhelmed. And then they all said lovely things. So now I'm thinking, I'm stood there, I'm sweating, I'm shaking, I'm emotional. And then I think it doesn't get any better than this. And then out of the corner of my eye, you see Ant and Dec running across it. And my first thought was, what's gone wrong? I thought they were running out to stop the show because, there was an electrical fault or there was a fire, or that's the, when something happens on stage unexpected as a performer, that's your first thought. What's gone wrong? And then once they started running down towards the judges, it sort of crossed my mind. And my son, who was stood on stage, and he just grabbed me and went, I think in my ear, he was yelling, "Dad, Dad, you did it, you did it." And I don't think it quite hit me until they hit the button. And then I thought, this is insane, absolutely insane. But looking back on it now, I mean, I've sort of managed to, I was going to say relive it, but really live it for the first time, because watching it back is the first opportunity I got to sort of experience it from this point of view,
Well, this is it. I mean, it's two completely separate point of views, and you're absolutely right. I mean, the stages to walk on and the stages to walk on, and holding the Palladium in such high respect and having such a full audience receiving, and you receiving such great adulation, of which you thoroughly deserve as well, for it. Well, it must be, as you said, absolutely overwhelming.
It was, yeah, totally. And I mean, it has been ever since. I mean, even what's happened since with the most gorgeous messaging and comments and the support that I've had from not just from friends and family. I mean, just strangers. You know, I haven't had any level of fame, and even though I've been very lucky. I've been in this business for 30 years, and I've never really been out of work. I've always had shows to do, but you can't always pick and choose where you're doing them.
Oh no, not.
But just to be working and doing something that you love to do, I've never taken that for granted. But I've certainly never. I mean, you know, the few shows that I've done on cruise ships when we've met, and you finish the show, and my kids have always said, you know, my boys have travelled with me on the ships a few times, and when they were younger, they said, "Dad, are you famous?" Because after the show, people are coming up to you and saying, "We loved your show and you were great." And I said, "No," I said, "I'm famous at the moment with this audience." You know, it's quite strange. And since then, even in this sort of terrible situation of the lockdown and everything, we went for our family walk yesterday, and we live in a small village. And we were walking back across the field, and there was another family walking towards us, which we gave them plenty of space. And as they went past, the kid was like, you're the guy from the... So even in the middle of a field, in the middle of a village in the north of England, I got recognised. And my wife said, this is just like when you've done a show, you know, on a cruise ship.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, it's just a bigger ship with open fields. And so it's been an amazing experience so far, yeah.
Excellent. And I mean, speaking of the family as well, how is the family doing with the newfound attention? You know, singing to Holly Willoughby on This Morning earlier this week, saying how well she spells and stuff like that.
You caught that, did you?
Oh yeah, might have. Yeah, I mean, how are the family finding the newfound attention with it all?
They seem to be just taking it in their stride, really. I did tell my wife off for jumping into the shot with Phil and Holly. That was so unprofessional when she just dived her face around to give a wave. I said, you can't do that. She said, well, you're at home. They know you're at home. It's not like you're in a studio. My eldest son is a little bit devastated because he got me into TikTok, which I wasn't into at all before.
I have tried myself, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I'm almost a YouTube generation. I've got a YouTube channel and stuff, and I've had that for a long time. But my eldest son said, you know, we've got to get you on TikTok. He's got about 8,000 followers. He's been doing it for a couple of years.
Oh, wow.
He's 15 years old, and that's his sort of audience. So I said, yeah, sure. What do you want to do? And he's come up with all these ideas to film stuff. So we've recorded them. And this morning we woke up to the news that I've got 13.6 thousand followers, and he's absolutely devastated because it's taken him 2 years to get 8,000. And now he's really regretting helping me because I've just wiped the floor with it.
Oh dear.
So no, he's loving it. He's my TikTok producer, and he's getting on with that, which is great. My youngest son is just loving it. We actually had to go out today. We drove across the moors, which is one of my favourite places to drive. It's just so beautiful. And we were as we were going across the middle of the moors, there wasn't a soul around. I hadn't seen a car for a while either. And my youngest son, 8 years old, Alfie, he winds down the window, sticks his head out the window, and so I'm just going to put my head out the window and see if anybody recognises me. There wasn't a soul within like 30 miles, I don't think. So that was very funny. So they're just taking it in their stride. It's great, yeah.
Oh, good. Yeah, maybe the occasional sheep having a double take on him. It's like, is that him with the cut? Oh, who knows?
Yeah.
Well then, sir. Well, having seen you perform before, I mean, I've always seen you always have an excellent way of engaging with the audience, but at the same time subverting expectations. Which I mean, I'd always like to put an example. I know it was a silly little gag from about 8 or 9 years ago, but I still remember it to this day. Now, people around Lancaster and Morecambe will know. We'll say a chap that does the Christmas cabaret at the Duke's Theatre for the past few years. Runway Tom and Slightly Fat Productions. They do the Christmas cabaret up here as well. And I do remember a few years back, yes, you'd been part of a variety show with him. I think it was on Queen Mary 2. Now, he's a comedy juggler, and of course you're a comedy pianist. And you were basically saying, right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to, I think you went on first, and we're going to hand you over to Runway, and we're just going to show each other's talents off. But instead of you playing the piano and him juggling, he got on the ivories and you started juggling.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. We were talking about it in the rehearsal because we both sort of done our main stage shows a couple of days before, and people had seemed to enjoy it. So in the rehearsal for the variety show, I suggested that we do something together, and he said, yeah, great. And I said, can you play the piano? And he said, well, not really. I know like chopsticks. he said, "Why are you asking?" I said, "Well, I can actually juggle. I mean, I'm not a great juggler, but I can juggle. I can do a few tricks and stuff." He said, "Really?" I said, "Yes. So how about I bring you on, and then you throw me the juggling balls, and I'll start juggling, and you jump on the piano." And we were just thinking it was going to be a bit of fun, but the audience obviously realised that we'd arranged it just for them. So we got this incredible reaction as we started doing it, and then I think we finished it by me throwing the juggling balls back to him as he jumped up and caught them, and I finished on the piano with a big flamboyant finish, and the band joined in, and everybody leapt to their feet. It was great, actually. I've never forgotten that. That was a lot of fun.
It was excellent, absolutely. So, I mean, not obviously we won't chuck a runway in for the semi-finals of Britain's Got Talent or anything daft like that, but what do you have anything like that lined up? I would say just to keep the audience on their toes of what you're going to have.
Yeah, well, obviously when we filmed the audition, that was at the end of January. So the live shows were still scheduled to be at the end of May.
Mm-hmm.
And not knowing when I would be broadcast, I mean, I think the live shows start just 1 week after the auditions finish, and there was every possibility that I could have been in the last week of audition. So I had to have something ready for the live shows pretty much as soon as I did the audition. For now, for when they're being broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
So I did write something, which it's quite interesting actually, because I think because of the way they edited my performance and they did make it so emotional. A couple of the comments that I've seen on Twitter or on YouTube, people have said, "Can't wait to see what you're going to do in the live shows. We think you should do something funny because you could be funny," which did make me giggle, because I always think of myself as a comedy act, but obviously if this is the first time people have seen me, maybe they think I'm a bit more serious and emotional than my actual stage show is. So what I've written at the moment for the live shows, I think is going to take people by surprise, because it's a bit out there, it's a little bit crazy, and I think it's funny. So
excellent.
Hopefully people are going to like it. Yeah.
Excellent.
We'll see.
I cannot wait. As everybody knows, of course, with the current situation, yes, it is going to be delayed from late May, unfortunately, isn't it? But I'm sure ITV and the Britain Got Talent crew will be letting everybody know as soon as they're able to start filming the live shows when they are going to be.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, Jon, thank you so much for your time. I was going to say, I'm sure this past few days has been a little bit busy for you with everything going on. But no, absolutely. If anybody wants to know where you are on social media, YouTube, your website, I mean, now's the time. Please, yes, let everybody know right now.
Yeah, well, YouTube, you can find me under Jon Courtenay and then the number 2. That's my channel. Courtenay, just check the spelling. I mean, it should come up if you type it in. And then all the usuals. As I say, I'm on TikTok and I'm on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that jazz. It's all under Jon Courtenay, so you should be able to find it. And I'm still doing live shows. I've been very lucky because I've got a studio at home, a green screen studio with my piano and mics and cameras and lights and everything. So I've still had the opportunity to perform, which has been great. I've done a few social events that people are having on like Zoom and all these other sort of social streaming platforms, you know. So it's been great. I've been able to plug in and appear at people's events. So there's that going on as well. If people want to see me perform, they can still get hold of me.
Excellent. Jon Courtenay, thank you very much for your time, sir. Enjoy the rest of your day, and yes, I was going to say,
Thanks,
just knock 'em dead when we see you next on Britain's Got Talent.
Thanks so much. All the best to you, Jason. Take care.
No problem. Thank you. Cheers.